Can you believe it, guys? Pokemon Home. Yes, as much as I would have liked to go back to the Fuecoco playthrough now that I'm back on a normal schedule, or at least it was intended that I would go back to a normal schedule, I apologize again for missing Monday's stream. That one was literally out of my control. For some reason, there was a Wi-Fi outage going on in my area, and that was happening during the time I would be able to stream. But that was then. This is today, and for today, I figured I wanted to go into my main profile for this to celebrate Pokemon Home finally being here, for fuck's sake. Oh, I have the high jump and upgrades again. Because that happened yesterday. I think they were rolling it out slowly during the span of Monday and Tuesday. For me, it worked just fine on Tuesday. I know a lot of people had issues while they were doing the slow rollout, and some people still have issues out now, mainly with transferring shit between Pokemon Go and this game. Because, of course, there's going to be issues despite how long they took, even though apparently they took this long to avoid issues. But anyways, I didn't have any of those issues because I guess it just worked fine for me on Tuesday, and I don't have Pokemon Go. I never played the game. I don't plan to play the game, so I don't have any issues transferring with that. And I had figured I'd do a little bit of a celebration by hopping into my main profile for a stream for once and showing off what I have, and maybe, well, not maybe, but like do some battling. Kind of ignore this. I was doing Masuda breeding on my own time during the span of yesterday. I'm trying to get a shiny Hisui and Growlithe right now, which is currently one of the only fire types I'm missing in this game for shinies, excluding legendaries, which I kind of fucked up on. So excluding legendaries, I have pretty much all of the shiny fire types in this game. And I am going to show that off as well. I kind of wanted to show off my various collections. That puts you in there. This is just a random box that I was using to hold my stuff. This is the Talonflame I use to help with Masuda breeding because of the Flame Body ability. And then obviously the Japanese Ditto I got from the Universal Trading Code. And then this is just my actual team I used during my playthrough of the game's story, excluding Skeledirge, who I have on a team right now, and I'll get into that in a bit. That bit being now, because if I go all the way back here, well, for starters, this is a bunch of just Pokemon Legends Arceus stuff that I also transferred in when it finally happened. I had this stuff ready on standby in a box in Legends Arceus, or I guess in a pasture it's called in that game, just so it'd be nice to have Hisuian exclusives in this game. And some of them have been to good use already. I already have a Zoroark, so I didn't need to bring these two in, but I just decided to anyway. Just cause. Same case with pre-evolutions of the starters. If I had them, obviously they're evolved forms. Arcanine was originally a Growlithe, who as you can see, only knows one move. Yes, Zoroark. But I didn't need this anymore because I already have the shiny for it. But I'll go over the shinies in a second. There's the Arcanine here, who was originally a Growlithe as well, but I evolved them so that they could learn Raging Fury, and the reason they only know Raging Fury is to teach it to my normal shiny Arcanine, who I'll get into in a bit. But I wanted my normal Arcanine to have Raging Fury as well. So that's why that's there. And using Mirror Herb shit. And everything else is just here, just in case I want Legends Arceus stuff here. I don't know if I'll shiny hunt any more of these. Gonna get into it in a second, but I already have shiny Hisuian Typhlosion. I already have shiny Hisuian Zoroark. And I don't know who else I'd want. Maybe Sneasel, but that's all I can really think of. And obviously I'm already trying to hunt Growlithe, and he's holding an Everstone, because that's a thing you need to do if you want the Hisuian form. Something I learned the hard way. Twice. It happened first with Zorua when I wanted a shiny Hisuian form, only to find out the hard way that you need them to hold an Everstone, otherwise it's Unova and Zorua's. And then I relearned that lesson here with Growlithe, because I'm an idiot and it was a long time since I did Hisuian Zorua. But anyways, this is raid stuff, ignore that. Eevee event, ignore that. This is one of my teams. I'll get into these in a bit, but it's just nice to have Delphox and Hisuian Typhlosion here. What I really wanted to get into, though, was all the shinies I got. And also a team down here, who I'll also get into in a second. Yes. Ow. Stubbed my toe. Brain's farting. Anyways, this game, I do enjoy playing this game, which is why during my rants in the past, during my Fuecoco playthrough, and the reason why I'm doing the Fuecoco playthrough in the first place is because it saddens me that there isn't more to do in this game because of how much fun I had doing the stuff in this game. Stuff like raids, despite my problems with raids. The 3 storylines, and one of my favorite things to do in this game, which has been shiny hunting, as you can clearly see. I originally, around the beginning of this game, when I started to learn about like how shiny hunting works in this game, how different it is because of the sandwich powers, I decided that I thought it would be fun if I were to try and make a team of all shiny fire types. So I went out to start doing that, using the herba that I stacked from all my 6-star raids, starting with Growlithe, who I got from, I think it's North Province Area 2, the place right outside of the fighting type Team Star member. Around that area, Growlithe and Arcanine spawned, so I used a sandwich for that, and eventually got a shiny from that. With Houndoom, it was from... let me show off the shinies while I'm doing this. So yeah. Shiny Growlithe, who I then evolved, got him from North Province Area 2. Does it tell you where I got them? Oh yeah, it does. And then next is this Houndoom, who I got from a shiny Houndour in the Inlet Grotto around the beginning of the game. You know, that section where the box legendary is guiding you and you're being chased, and you're eventually chased by a bunch of Houndours. That cave is where they spawn, so I used a sandwich for that one and was searching that for a while and eventually found a blue Houndour. Flareon was from a bit of luck because I was trying to do some time shifting shenanigans for an Eevee outbreak, but in the process of doing that, I actually managed to get a Flareon outbreak, and I decided, well, okay, we take those, because the reason why I wanted a shiny Eevee in the first place was to evolve it into a Flareon. So I just straight up went to the Flareon outbreak and did the shining hunting process you would do for outbreaks, where you specifically kill exactly 60 to give you the best odds. I already had the shiny charm, and then in that area I made a sandwich for encounter power and shiny power for fire types. Kept resetting in that area, and eventually one of them was shiny. It was a bit stressful and hard to tell, because this game is glitchy when there's a lot of spawns near a cliffside or a wall, because some of those spawns will clip into the wall, and that was the case for a lot of these Flareons. Like, every time I would reset spawns, 2 or 3 of them would be inside the wall, so I had to really look in there and make sure none of them were shiny, which is also kind of hard to tell, because Flareon is one of those shinies where it's a bit hard to tell the difference. At least on its own. Once you see it next to an actual Flareon, you'll notice the difference, because it's a brighter red when it's normal. And these were the 3 that I got from sandwich methods. The other 2, Charizard and Cinderace, were purely through Masuda breeding methods. Like I mentioned before, I got a Japanese Ditto from the Universal Trading Code, which I believe is 44484448. And that's basically what all international people do to, trade Dittos with each other to Masuda breed. So I gave some Japanese dude one of my English Dittos. He gave me a Japanese Ditto, and I began Masuda breeding with egg power sandwiches as well. This one was very, very lucky. I got a shiny Charmander within 14 eggs. That's literally it. Scorbunny took longer, but not that much longer. It was also pretty easy to do. It didn't take that much long. And even funny enough, I accidentally got 2 out of that. Because I got my first shiny Scorbunny pretty early, but I still had some leftover eggs. And you can't just straight up release eggs. So I was in the process of hatching them so I could then release the Scorbunnies, and I accidentally got a second one in the process. I thought that was funny, but also, god damn it. But I decided to keep this one as well. I nicknamed it Flopsy. Just, I don't know. I felt like it. Maybe referencing Avatar, because why not? I'm just going to keep it as a Scorbunny for now. But anyways, these 2 were through Masuda breeding. Once I started doing that, I got... Both of these are from the 7-star events, by the way. As soon as those events went live, I began Masuda breeding for these. Because I think I was already... Was I already Masuda breeding? I don't think so. No, I think I started with this because my only interest in shinies right now was to get a fire team. And doing so easily with sandwich powers and these made me want to keep going. So I got a Japanese Ditto so I could Masuda breed instead to get these 2 when their events went live, because when they started to do events for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet in the beginning of the game, their very first 7-star events was Charizard, and then right afterwards was Cinderace, which I saw as a W, because I am insanely biased for fire types, especially fire starters. So it was an absolute win in my book to have these 2 be the first ones, especially Cinderace, because they're my second favorite Pokemon, period. So this was nice to have, and nice to be able to shiny hunt them in a game where it's a bit easier to do that. Funny enough, I was so, looking forward to Cinderace being added into Scarlet and Violet, and I was so excited to get a shiny Cinderace on this team that I was actually about to retroactively go into Sword and Masuda breed there to get a head start. I do have, I believe it's an Italian Ditto. It's either Italian or Korean. I think it's Korean, and I got that from a friend who had two foreign Dittos in that game, and he was nice enough to give me one of them. So I had a Korean Ditto in that game, and I was about to start breeding with Cinderace. I didn't have the shiny charm or anything else, so but I was gonna deal with those odds if it meant trying to get a head start on getting a shiny Score Bunny to make into a team in this game. But then when I was on the verge of doing that was when they announced the Cinderace event, which I found funny, so I decided fuck it, wait for that event, get the Cinderace from that one, which I did. I did all the 7-star events. I got Cinderace, and then I went right to Masuda breeding. Like literally as soon as I was done with the event. I think it was the same case for Charizard. So that's how I got these two. Won their 7-star events, caught the Pokemon, and then started Masuda breeding. And neither of them took so long. So that's these 5 members. And then there's this one, who is particularly special because it seems to have traveled across space and time to join me from the Kalos region. So yes, I did go out of my way to get a shiny Delphox as well. I mentioned Cinderace was my second favorite Pokemon. That's because this one is my favorite Pokemon, period. And this one is particularly special because this one is further back in terms of shiny hunting. In that this is all the way from Pokemon X. This was my starter. When I became more into Pokemon and wanted to start going back into the games more, or what I mean is go back to the games that I missed, because I wasn't always a huge Pokemon fan. I liked this series, but it wasn't something I spent a lot of time on. My first game was Pokemon Diamond on the DS, which I was very terrible at. I only used my Monferno. The rest of my team was level 5, so when Monferno got walled off by some random trainer's Bronzor who was abusing Confuse Ray, that was GG's for me. I couldn't get past him because Monferno would just kill himself, and then the rest of my team was level 5. I managed to get past 2 gyms, and then I later lost my copy of Diamond in my basement somehow, somewhere, and never found it again. Later on, with my 3DS, I don't know what urged me to do so, but I decided to get Pokemon Alpha Sapphire for my 3DS. Because, I don't know, I just remember thinking, hey, I enjoyed Pokemon Diamond despite how little I played it, so let me try to play this and let me actually try to beat it. And I did manage to beat it, even though I was bad at the game. I at least leveled my team more evenly, but like it was still a pretty bad team. I was heavily carried by Mega Blaziken and Mega Latias. But that's besides the point. So those were basically the only 2 games I played for a long while until I got back into like a sort of Pokemon craze thanks to Brilliant Diamond on the Switch. And I just decided to keep playing from there because I've really enjoyed my time with Brilliant Diamond. It reminded me what I loved so much about playing the original Diamond, and I don't know, I just got very enthralled in trying to, just casually enjoying the game and building my team, because that's one of my favorite things to do in Pokemon is collect the Pokemon that I like and make my team and make a team out of it. Just because I like bonding with, and I like collecting Pokemon that I like. And Brilliant Diamond used that appeal a lot against me, and I was back into Pokemon. I went back and played Pokemon Sword because I already had that game. I knew I was going to try it one day because I still liked Pokemon. I just wasn't super into it yet. So I went back, played Pokemon Sword, made an all-fire type team in that as well. More on that probably one day. And then from there, I kept up with new releases like this game and Pokemon Legends Arceus, as well as a mixture of going back to older gens to experience those, to experience ones that I missed. And one of the ones that I went back to was Pokemon X. I do remember being interested in X and Y when they were the newest generations, especially because there was a lot of hype around them, but I never outright played the games myself for a while. I did, however, really like a lot of the Pokemon from it, my favorite one becoming Delphox, the fire starter of Gen 6. So, when it was time for me to play through Pokemon X, I decided, since it's my favorite Pokemon and I wanted this to feel special, that I would grind for a shiny for this starter. I wouldn't Masuda breed or do some kind of like easier solution in another game, even though it probably would have just been easier to do that. I wanted to have this shiny as my starter and for me to go on my journey and start my journey with a shiny Fennekin. So I set about doing that. I booted up Pokemon X. It kind of struggled to work, so I sent it back to GameStop. They gave me another copy. That one also might have had an issue or two, but it was still fine. And I began shiny hunting in that. I looked up a couple of people who shiny hunted starters as well, just to make sure, like, first of all, to make sure it was possible, because Gen 8 and Gen 9 introduced shiny locking, which I find to be one of the stupidest things I've ever seen in my fucking life. So I wanted to like double, triple check and make sure it was even possible in the first place. It is. And I also made sure to look up when's the right time to save, which is before the cutscene where you meet the three smaller rivals, where you meet Serena, because I picked the guy avatar. And in that cutscene, you talk to the three of them, get a taste of their personalities, and then you pick your starter. Which obviously I picked Fennekin, because I always pick fire starters, and I was hunting for this shiny. But then you had to finish the cutscene, and then you could be able to check if it was a shiny. So over the span of literal months, I don't even remember how many, I would spend many, many nights just going through that cutscene, mashing A through that cutscene, having something on my laptop to keep my brain entertained in the meantime. I was watching a lot of SpongeBob and Total Drama Island to keep my brain busy while I did this shiny hunt. I would go through the cutscene. Once it ended, go into my inventory, check the Fennekin. If it wasn't shiny, I soft reset. And I did this over the span of many months. And 1 second, because I did also document how many times it took and how many resets I did. I believe it was 2,421, which thankfully isn't that much, all things considered. Yes, right here, 2,421. I memorized that number by heart because, obviously this was a very important moment to me. I consider that a pretty light number, all things considered, considering that was the most raw-dogged shiny I've ever done in my life. No shiny charm, no Masuda breeding, no sandwiches, really nothing else to aid in putting those numbers in my favor. It was just the pure 1 in 4,096 chance. At least it wasn't older. At least they changed that for Gen 6, and it wasn't 1 in 800, 100 something, literally anything before that. Thank God. So I was just raw dogging the 1 in 4,096 chance to get a shiny Fennekin over the span of months and many, many, many nights of mindlessly mashing A in that opening cutscene of Pokemon X, so much to the point where I'm low-key mentally scarred of that scene and the city it takes place in, because all I can remember now is the horrors of how long it took. But I eventually, one late night, while I was on Season 3 of SpongeBob, I was watching that, had a laptop hooked up to my TV, and I was mashing away in the cutscene. Yeah, it was an absolute gauntlet. But during that night, when I was kind of brain dead because my brain was tired, but I wanted to keep shiny hunting, I noticed that my Fennekin was gray and there was a red star under it. I had a minor panic attack, went straight to saving my game 1,500 times. And then I told it to pretty much all my friends, as many people as I could. And that was the story behind this particular shiny. much more elaborate than the other ones because, yeah, I really wanted this to be a special one on my journey during Pokemon X, and it managed to be just that. As soon as I finally got that shiny over the span of months, I did finally start playing Pokemon X, getting it to a level 100 Delphox, transferring it over to Pokemon Bank, going through an arduous process of regaining my Nintendo ID account and shit like that because that was lost to time, but I needed that for Pokemon Bank. Some nice lady at Nintendo helped me. I managed to recover my Nintendo ID and shit like that. I could use Pokemon Bank through funds, through my funds from my Switch, because this was during a time where you can't add funds to your 3DS anymore. But if it's linked with your Switch account and you add funds to your Switch, it also adds to your 3DS. So I had to do it that way so I can buy a Pokemon Bank membership so I could then transfer this Delphox from X into Bank and then transfer it from Bank into Home, where it sat in there for a while I was feverishly waiting for Pokemon Home compatibility to finally be here. Which it finally is. Whew. So yeah, that's the story behind this Delphox. That's, yeah. And as for all of these other shinies, these are things I've done in the meantime while I was waiting for this Pokemon Home compatibility and while I was on my quest, because aside from feverishly waiting for Delphox to be added, and I specifically wanted it to be my Delphox from X. So while I was waiting for that and I had the other 5 members already, I thought to myself, wow, this was surprisingly easy. You know, this was like my end-to-end goal for Pokemon Scarlet, but I got it so fast. What do I do now? So I decided, since it was that easy and because I had so much fun doing it, I would make it a much grander end-to-end game task of collecting every shiny fire type in this game. And for the most part, I did just that. I believe the only ones I'm missing, excluding legendaries, because I kind of fucked that up, and also because in the case of any legendaries from this game, mainly Chi-Yu, the fire darkfish, that can't be shiny. Because for some reason, all of the legendaries are shiny locked in this game. So that's literally impossible for me to get. But any like transferable legend fire type legendaries, like Moltres or Heatran, I don't have the shinies for those either. I'm gonna have to get those some other way. But excluding legendaries, I have just about every single shiny fire type in this game. The only one I'm truly missing is a shiny Iron Moth, because this is Scarlet, not Violet, and I'm trying to work on that with a friend. But everyone else is here. There's a shiny Armarouge. I had to get 2 separate ones, by the way. Or 2 separate shiny Charcadets, by the way. And actually, before I go into the rest, I'm not going to cut it to the break screen, but let me just, like, go grab a bottle of water real quick. My throat is dry as hell from talking so much about, like, long, shiny adventures. So, like, give me, like, a second. Alright, now I'm back. Just took a couple seconds. Oh, that's much better. It's nice to talk a lot, but my throat started to get very dry from that. Stay hydrated, kids. Anyways, so first was this Armarouge and this dude right here. And a bit of a funny story behind these two is I got these while I was visiting my girlfriend's house. I was showing off my shiny team, and I wanted to also show off to her how different and how easy shiny hunting is in this game thanks to sandwiches. So, to show that off, I wanted to shiny hunt a Salandit as an example. So I went to this cave and began to do just that. But right outside of that cave, Charcadets can spawn around Rift Province Area 1. So right outside the cave, Charcadets can also spawn. So I figured, why not go back and forth, since I'm trying to get all the fire types anyway, and see if I can get one and show her what shiny hunting is like in this game. So I would go in the cave, look for Salandits. If none of them were shiny, I would go outside, look for Charcadets. If none of them were shiny, go back and forth between those two areas. And eventually... water. Eventually one of them was shiny, which is a bit hard to tell, because this is a very mid-shiny. The only difference is the eyes, so you have to really look at the eyes of the Charcadet to tell it's a shiny. But I got this one, and then I had like 3 to 5 minutes left on the sandwich, kept looking in the cave, and I found this dude, got super excited, and then that blue icon hit me. And I was afraid of that. But more on that when I get to the Salazzle. But yes, I was mentally thinking, man, it's gonna hurt when it happens, but I know it's going to happen. I know that I'm gonna have to deal with the shiny odds of trying to go for a Salandit. And then I have to then go through the shockingly low gender odds for it to also be female. Because if not, then it can't evolve. So this dude is low-key useless, but I kept them anyway. But yeah, these two were showing off to my girlfriend how unique and easy shiny hunting is in this game. This one I proceeded to evolve into an Armor Rouge. Water. Now on to everyone else. There's the Score Bunny that I already mentioned, who I named Flopsy after the bunny from Avatar. Again, I already told the story behind that. Skurg. This one was done through Masuda breeding, obviously, because they don't spawn in the wild. This one took a bit, because I was trying to do 3 Masudas at the same time to try and kind of like get more optimization out of it. So I was trying to do Skeledirge, Tauros, and Torkoal all at the same time, because he obviously doesn't have wild spawns, so I have to do Masuda for Skeledirge. And then these two were pretty rare, or like had some pretty difficult spawns to force out. So I wanted to Masuda for these as well. It worked for Tauros at first. The first one I got out of these 3 was Tauros. And then I decided to strictly focus on Skeledirge. And then I tried to strictly focus on Torkoal, but that took so long and so many Masuda tries. And I just, for the life of me, never got it. So I decided to, in the meantime, temporarily give up on that and go for other shinies. I decided to next go for Roly-Coly because I thought it'd be nice to make a rock shiny sandwich instead of a fire one for once. So I hunted for a shiny Roly-Coly. I shockingly got very lucky about that. It didn't take very long at all. And I'm thankful that this is the one that I got, all things considered, because the area I was doing it in was an area where other rock types can spawn. East Province Area 3. Other rock types can spawn in that area, like Larvitar, and I think someone else, I don't remember who. So I was lucky and grateful that of the rock types that were shiny there, it was the Roly-Coly, who I could then evolve into a Colossal, who's part fire, so I needed him for this. Then I decided to do Sir, There's Been a Second Charcadet, because I knew I wanted both forms, because I'm going after, in terms of my shiny fire type completion, I'm going off full evolutions, or final evolutions. So since Charcadet has 2 of those, I wanted both of those. So I got Sir, There's Been a Second Charcadet, then I contacted one of my friends who has Pokemon Violet instead, and he traded me over someone holding the Malicious Armor, so I could get this as a Ceruledge. And I'll explain the nicknames in a second. I just want to get to this 3rd Charcadet down there. Next, I didn't put these in order of what I did them in, Damn. I believe next I did, after Sir There's Been a Second Charcadet, was Camerupt. Was it Camerupt? No, Camerupt was one of the last ones I did. I decided to do Salazzle next because I knew that was going to be one of the hardest ones. Since I would have to do... Since, like I mentioned before, when I got this dude, not only would I have to deal with the shiny odds, which were lowered as much as I could with shiny charm and sandwich powers. I got it as low as possible, which is 500, which is 1 in 512. You can't get it any lower than that, I believe. So I got it as low as those odds, but I still had to deal with those odds. And then I had to deal with the stupidly low odds of the Salandit line. Because for a race that can only evolve when they're female, there are shockingly low amounts of females, which is probably why the males end up being simps and having simp wars. Because it's like, what? An 88% chance for it to be male? It's like very, very against you if you want a shiny Salazzle from a Salandit. So, what I did was... Okay, well, it was in South Province Area 6, but it was in a cave by South Province Area 6. And I'm trying to describe it as best I can. Where's Psychic Person? There. Around... Give me a second, I'm doing stupid stuff. Where's the Psychic Person? It's this place, right? Yes, it is. Around this area, if you go over here, jump off this cliffside, and like go around here while going down, there's like a cave entrance around this, not around there. Yeah, you jump off around here, you glide towards here, where this area is, and at the bottom of it is a cave entrance. In that very small cave entrance, Salandits and sometimes even straight up Salazzles can spawn. So, I made a sandwich in... Hi, buddy. Yeah, there's supposed to be no spawns here, so this is my ideal spot for Masuda rooting, but the game kind of bugs out a bit, so there could just be random Skiddos here that spawn. Which, I like, actually. It's kind of funny seeing a little Skiddo, or sometimes even a Go-Goat, kind of chase me and cheer me on while I'm Masuda breeding, but I'm getting off topic. Ah, damn it, my bigger hitbox. I don't want to fight you, buddy. Oh, nah, especially not with this Growlithe. Oh, I'm higher level, actually. Okay, come on, but I don't want to fight you. Sorry, anyways. Wrong button! Fuck, I've been playing so much Tears of the Kingdom lately. The menu isn't plus anymore, it's X. Anyways, in that small cave in South Province Area 6, I began my hunt for either a shiny Salandit that's hopefully female, or what I was really hoping for is a straight-up shiny Salazzle, so I could skip the RNG gender check. And let me tell you, it took quite a bit, and I didn't save my game for these, but there was 4 shiny Salandits before this one, and all 4 of those were male. But eventually, after a particular reset, I forgot which one it was, I think it was after I found the 4th shiny male Salandit. And keep in mind, I meant 4th as in 4 on their own, not including this one. So this is a separate thing. So there was 5 shiny male Salandits. That reset, make another sandwich. One of the first spawns is a shiny Salandit, thankfully, and it happened to be female. So yay. This is a very pretty shiny, but man, just man. Thankfully, now that I had that one done, a lot of these were much, much easier. Volcarona, I got next because... Oh, right, I got them next because I got the female shiny Salandit so early. So I still had a lot of the sandwich power left, so I was thinking, who could I do next, and who would be easy? So I looked it up, and shiny Larvesta is very easy. Because when you have that sandwich power active, if you particularly go to the desert area near the water gym, around here, if you go into this desert, and I believe it's this cliffside, is it? I believe it is. If you go to one of these cliffs, I believe it's this one, and stand at the higher point of it, when you stand at a certain spot and look in the direction of this cliff, only Larvestas will spawn. It's a particular spot, but once I had it down, which wasn't that hard to do, I just kept resetting in a picnic to reset the spawns of Larvestas, and it didn't take long at all for me to get a shiny Larvesta. So that was easy and fine. Oh my god, oh my god, it's not plus anymore. I played too much Tears. So I got these two from the same sandwich. Next was, I kept trying to Masuda breed Torkoal. Eventually gave up on that. Decided to do Litleo next, because I knew that would be another easy one. And it was. I went into this mountain right here, which is by the Snowy Mountains and by one of the towers. And in that area, in terms of fire types, only really Litleos and Pyroar spawn, and there's a lot of both of those. Because Litleos and Pyros often spawn in hordes. Very rarely are they on their own, from what I've seen. So I was getting a lot of hordes of Litleos with Pyroars, because that's a thing in this game, is like mini hordes. Like you'll have like a B-Sharp followed by like 4 Poniards. Like a fully evolved Pokemon followed by like 4 of its pre-evos. Like there's one of Arcanine followed by 4 Growliths, one of 4 Houndours following a Houndoom, and then there was one of these, which is 4 Litleos following either a female or male Pyroar. There was also the chance of Pyroar hordes, where there could be 4 females following a male Pyroar. So there was a lot of Pyroars and Litleos in that area, basically, because they were all in hordes. So it was very easy to keep shiny checking. It took a little bit longer than I had hoped, but I still did it within one sandwich, and I managed to find a male Litleo, who I then evolved into Pyroar. Had some sandwich power left, so I decided to go for... Who did I decide to try and go for? Oh, right. I tried to go for Fletchinder, but that didn't work. That didn't work. Fletchinder was one who was a bit more difficult to do, but that's because I always used him as a secondary, like, type of search. Like, I would use my sandwich power to hunt for a certain fire type first, and if I had time left, I would try to hunt for a Fletchinder. And the spot that I used was in South Province Area 4, right across the river from Cortando, where the Bug-type gym leader is. Across from there is quite a few spawns, one of which being Fletchinder, but it's a pretty hard to see shiny, so I had to also do a lot of careful checking to make sure. But eventually, I did get that, and that's because one of the next ones I decided to do was Camerupt, and this one was a very successful sandwich hunt. So, for Camerupt, or I was hunting for a shiny Numel, to then evolve into a Camerupt. West Province Area 1, a lot of Numels spawned there, so I made the fire sandwich. I started exploring that area. During my exploration of that area, I found Sir, there's been a 3rd Charcadet, and decided to, for funnies, why the fuck not, I guess I'll keep it. But it wasn't going to I wasn't going to save because of this. If I didn't find another shiny, I would have just quit my save, and this would be lost, because I didn't need a 3rd one. I already have the 2 evolved forms. That's all I needed, or all I wanted. But I did manage to find a shiny Numel with quite a bit of time to spare. I think I had like around 20 minutes left in my shiny sandwich. So with these 2 on hand, this one found by accident during the hunt for Numels, because Charcadets also spawn in that area. Then I eventually found a Numel as well. I decided to once again do a secondary search for a Fletchinder, and I actually managed to do that finally, after like what felt like 10 to like 15 tries. I managed to find this one, and I still had some sandwich power left, like 12 minutes. with 3 shinies. So I decided to, who would I hunt for the last one? I looked into it, and I decided for it to be Oricorio, because there was a way to make spawns easy for her, and that is around Artisan, where the grass gym is. Right? There's an area right outside of it. Hello, Skiddo. Where's Artisan? It's around here. Yes. When you enter Artisan, or around Artisan, you go to this cliffside over here. You stand on this cliff here and look towards this small field here. In this small field here, with a fire sandwich power activated, only Oricorios would spawn here. So similar to what I did for Larvesta, I just stood in this area and then picnic resetted if none of the spawns were shiny. And it only took me 2 tries. It only took me my second reset for there to be a shiny Oricorio. So that one was very fast. I tried someone else after that. I don't remember who, but it wasn't a success. But I was very happy with that anyway, because that was 4 shinies off of 1 sandwich, 3 of which I was missing for my goal. So that was a very successful hunt. The 3rd Charcadet, which I didn't really need, but why not? Then the Normal, then the Fletchender, who I evolved into Talonflame, and then Oricorio, who was already in their Fire type form, because I believe it's Fire type and Electric type that are the only 2 forms that can actually spawn in the wild. So I got that, and yeah, I was just very happy about that. Let's see, who haven't I gone over yet? Torkoal. I decided to give up on him and just try to use a sandwich in a particular area, and it didn't take that long, which pisses me off because of how long Masuda breeding took. But I only found him with that sandwich. And then lastly, or approaching lastly, was the shiny Scovillain. I forgot what their pre-evo is, but I was hunting for the pre-evo, who's pure grass. So I went into the desert, made a grass sandwich, and I hunted for a while I was watching a show with my girlfriend. And I think I eventually found one. I don't know if it was during that call or right afterwards. I think it was during. But I did manage to find a shiny Capsicid. That's what it's called. That's what the pre-evolution is called. I found a shiny Capsicid who is yellow. Then I've evolved him. Look at him. And then these 2 forms of Typhlosion. I mean, I guess you could say I'm a big fan of shinies. Actually, I am a big fan of shinies, but I'll get more into that in a second when I'm done with my goddamn autobiography of my shiny hunting in this game. But anyways, lastly is the 2 Typhlosions. Same case as the Charizard and Cinderace on my team. I just did it through Masuda breeding literally moments after I did the 7-star event, because later on there was a 7-star for Typhlosion when they were doing the non-Hisuian forms of the Hisui starters. Won the Typhlosion event, started Masuda breeding, and I set out to get 2 because I knew that I wanted both forms. So it didn't take that long, thankfully. I got 2 shiny Cyndaquils. One of them I straight up evolved, which is this one right here, and then one of them which I kept into Quilava until yesterday when Pokemon Home compatibility was finally here. I could transfer this bad boy from this. My throat's still getting dry even with water. Transfer this bad boy over to Pokemon Home, transfer him into Legends Arceus, evolve him there, and then eventually bring him back. I was kind of stupid about the process, because they're supposed to be in your boxes to be able to transfer them, not your party. So that was a bit of idiotic back and forth, but I did get him into Legends Arceus, evolve him there, and then bring him back into this game. And now I have the shinies for both forms of Typhlosion. And thankfully Masuda breeding for 2 shiny Cyndaquils didn't take that long. And then there's this last one right here, who I didn't bother to shiny hunt for, because this is a transfer. And I knew I didn't need this, because I knew Heat Rotom was in this game, but I knew that I wouldn't really need to shiny hunt it, because this Rotom is from my Pokemon Sword file. And the story behind this dude is when I was in the process of grinding out that game, one of that game's second DLC, The Crown Tundra, and grinding out Dynamax Adventures to get all of the legendaries, just because I wanted to collect them like that. During that process, I used a Rotom during that, because you use rental Pokemon during it. You pick from a selection of Pokemon, and then you go in with that one. You don't use your own. And during my adventure, I encountered a Rotom. I forgot who the particular legendary was at the end, but I knew that Rotom was a good counter to them, so it was a water type. Because I remember I wanted the electric typing of Rotom. So I went down the path to get to Rotom, got him, caught him, and then used him for the rest of the adventure. Then, when I was picking out... Because once you're done with the adventure, you can pick out what you've caught, including the legendary. So you can either pick the legendary, or you can pick any of the Pokemon you caught on your way to that legendary. And I noticed that Rotom was a weird color, which I found very odd and funny, because he wasn't this color when I was using him in the adventure. It was a normal-looking Rotom when I was in the process of using him, but then when it was time to pick what Pokemon you're going to keep, he was shiny. So I decided to keep this Rotom, nickname it that, because it was such a random-ass shiny, and it's the only one I've currently gotten in Sword and Shield. So I thought that was funny and random, so I nicknamed him that, and then I beat up some dude in... Is it Wyndon? Yeah, the town is called Wyndon. The place where the Pokemon League is. I beat up some dude in Wyndon, and then he gave me a magazine that I can use to evolve my Rotom in a number of ways, and I chose Heat Rotom because, literally, look at me. So yes, I did evolve him into the Fire type. So I knew that I wouldn't have to shiny hunt a Rotom in this game, because I'm just going to be easy on myself with that and just transfer in the one for Pokemon Sword, and boom, I have them all. The only one I'm missing is Iron Moth, but I can't do that myself, so I'm trying to get a friend's help with that. Need more water. And now I believe the only one I'm missing in terms of non-legendary transfers is a shiny Hisuian Growlithe. Because I got the Hisuian Typhlosion, I already have a Delphox, and I don't think there's any other fire types you can transfer in from Legends Arceus. It's just the form of Typhlosion and Arcanine, really, and one of which I already have. So yeah, all I really need now is the shiny fire type. For my shiny fire types is Hisuian Growlithe. And I was very proud of myself for this, getting pretty much all of the shiny fire types in this game to really show off my bias and to show that I really have an issue. I don't know why I didn't think that was enough, though. So I got more shinies. Okay, to be fair, though, most of these are random. Like, most of these are random. This Combi over here, he's named that because, well, first of all, he's male. So similarly to the shiny Salandit I got, that was male. Yeah, this is just kind of useless, but I found it funny, so I nicknamed him that. But this was my very first shiny in Legends Arceus. It was just in a random, like... I was just exploring outside of Cortando, the first gym, when I was playing this game for the first time. I wanted an Eevee. I was pretty sure they spawned around there. I saw a bunch of Combies. One of them was reddish. I said, what the fuck? Because there's no overworld jingle with shinies in this game. In Legends Arceus, if there's a shiny that spawns in the wild, it'll do like a loud like sparkle jingle and even show like a sparkling sound effect in the overworld. This game doesn't do that. You have to actively encounter it to get the shiny sparkle. But anyways, this was just random. Now, back to the randoms. This was random outside of Cortando. This was also random when I was exploring a random-ass forest trying to complete my Pokédex. I noticed one of the... I don't remember what the... Impidimp. There was just random Impidimps on tree, like, roots, and one of them was bluish. This one was also random. Who was on a random cliffside while I was Again, walking around completing my Pokédex. This one was also random. Nintendo won't let me say damn, so I named him Dan M. And I believe... I don't even know why I nicknamed it this one. I'll go into nicknames in a bit, but I just want to go over these ones first. This one is a byproduct of my evolution search, which I'll go into that a bit later. This one was random. I just noticed a reddish... I think it's kilowatt? Whatever the name of the Prevo of this is, I noticed one of those in the sky, noticed it was reddish, threw one of my Pokemon at it, and noticed it was shiny and caught it. It was literally random. This and the second Ghastly, who this one I'm going to give to a friend, it was literally random. I was just walking around, there was a bunch of Ghastlies, one of them looked bluish. I thought it was funny because of lighting, because the lighting in this game makes all Ghastlies look bluish. But I noticed this one was a brighter blue, realized it was shiny, caught it, was walking around again, noticed another brighter blue Ghastly, and it was another shiny, and I just caught that one. So yeah, most of these were just random shinies. This one was from random outside of Cortando. This was just random in a random forest. These two were random on cliff sides. This one wasn't random, but I'll get into him in a bit. This was random, just found him in the sky. And then these two are random. And now for the ones that weren't random, starting with the two Zoroarks. Starting with this one right here, who I got a Hisuian Zoroark from purchasing the DLC. If you purchase the DLC, you get a bonus Hisuian Zoroark in this game early. So I did that, decided to shiny hunt because I like Hisuian Zoroark, and Zoroark in general has a very pretty shiny. So I did that, took a while, but I eventually did get a shiny Hisuian Zorua with my Hisuian Zoroark holding an Everstone in order to do that. And then, because why not? Because I also like the other form, because a particular friend of mine also does, I took off the Everstone and decided to shiny hunt for a normal Zorua as well. This one took way longer. And honestly, there was just nothing else about it other than just bad luck. It just took a very long while to get a shiny Unova Zorua, but I eventually did get that through the same Masuda breeding method and evolved this one into a Zoroark, so now I have both forms as shinies. Both through Masuda breeding with the Japanese Ditto and the Hisuian Zoroark I got from purchasing the DLC. So these were the two for the start of my legendary... legendary? What? No. Start of my intentional ones. And then I decided to get all the evolutions. Because one, I already had a few of them, and two, I like the evolutions. Aside from fire types, if there's a type of Pokemon I'm biased towards, it's an evolution. And I had a few going into this already. I had a shiny Glaceon because there was a random Glaceon outbreak one day, and I said, damn, I do want to one day get all of them, so let me go do that. And funny enough, I didn't even need to waste any like Herba Mystica or sandwiches for this one. While it was in the process of doing the kill 60 thing in an outbreak, one of the ones that was chasing me, because Glaceon's aggressive for some reason, one of the ones that was chasing me was a shiny, so I said, damn. And the only reason I was able to tell it was shiny is because... well, yeah, it's brighter. It's very hard to tell, but if it's standing next to a normal Glaceon, it's much more obvious. So because of that, and because it was two Glaceons chasing me at the same time, one of them significantly brighter, I got a shiny without needing to waste anything. And then later on, there was a random Vaporeon outbreak. Again, said to myself, I do want to one day get them all because I like the evolutions, so let me go do this. It took a couple of resets, but I did manage to get a shiny Vaporeon out of it. So I had these two, and then I had the shiny Flareon from the Flareon outbreak story that I already explained, and this was the first one I got of the three. So going into these 9, I already had... let me group the Flareon with them. Just because I like to have them in order. Hold up. I have it like this for now. So anyways, I already explained the Flareon story. That was my first one. Then the random Glaceon outbreak, and then the random Vaporeon outbreak. There was at one point a random Umbreon outbreak, and I did try to get a shiny out of that. I did do the kill 60, I made a dark sandwich, and I walked around in there. But for some reason, the game just bugs out sometimes with outbreaks. And I really don't know why. So for some reason, Umbreons just stopped spawning. Even though the outbreak was still happening, and even though my sandwich power was still active, Umbreons just stopped spawning. And when I went to go reset my game, the outbreak was gone. So that sucked. But I decided to make it my mission, since I was doing so many shinies, since I did all the fire types, and there was a few non-fire types that I wanted to do, that I would then set out to do a few non-fire type shinies that I wanted, like the 2 forms of Zoroark, which I already explained through Masuda breeding, and then my next goal, which is all 9 of the EVs. And the way I did that is by forcing an EV outbreak. So what I did was, I first made a sandwich that increased the encounter of normal types. I then went around here. You can see that there's 2 outbreaks going on right now, a Meowth and a Persian. This area has a lot of normal type spawns, which I guess is funny and makes sense because this is where the normal type gym is. So I went right outside of here, made a sandwich to increase the encounter of normal types, and then I kept moving forward the clock day by day until there was an EV outbreak in this area, and there was one right here. For that EV outbreak, I did the usual outbreak strategy, kill 60, make a sandwich. This took a long while. There were some runs of this outbreak where either, well, it never went away. If the clock hits 12, outbreaks reset automatically. So I had to make sure that the clock didn't hit 12 a.m. while I was doing this. But once the EV outbreak was there, it did take a few tries, because there was some attempts where there wasn't a single shiny EV at all. There was some where I only got 1 shiny EV, and I saved it from there. It took a lot of sandwiches, but I got 3 shiny EVs out of it, who I decided to do the 3 friendship evolutions for, since I thought it'd be fitting to make those go together, and they'd be harder to evolve. So for those 3 first shiny EVs, I got a Sylveon, Espeon, and Umbreon out of that. The Espeon in particular took a while because the day and night cycles of these games can't be moved, and they take quite a while. So I had to wait a while for it to be daytime to properly evolve one of them into an Espeon. But I got the 3 friendship ones, and then the next day, I forced a second EV. So there's been a second EV outbreak that I forced. Got 3 more shinies out of it, who I evolved 2 of them, because the 3 that was missing at that point was just Eevee, Leafeon, and Jolteon. Because, like I mentioned before, I already have Vaporeon, I already have Glaceon, I already have Flareon, so these are the 3 that I was missing. So I got 3 more, used a Thunderstone, used a Leaf Stone, and then just kept this one the way it is. It took a lot of sandwiches and 2 forced outbreaks, but I did get all 9 evolutions, and that's probably one of my more prouder achievements, just because, I mean, look at them all. That's just wonderful. Alright, now that I flexed all 9, I can put Flareon back. And let me put these 8 back in the corner here. So that was my quest for all 9 evolutions, or at least for the set of 6 that I didn't have yet out of the 9. Over the span of 2 days, 1 forced outbreak where I eventually got 3, and then the next day where I got the last 3, and then I evolved all of them appropriately. And for my last shiny and for my last intentional shiny was this Azumarill, because during my process of the random Vaporeon outbreak, when I finally did get a shiny after like the third reset and trying again, I did manage to get it pretty early. Well, not pretty early, but I still had some time left. I think I had like a solid like 8 to 10 minutes left on the water sandwich, so I decided, all right, let me use this time just in case. Let's see what a water type that I want, and I thought, why not hunt for a shiny Marill? So I went to a certain area where they spawned. There was a Marill outbreak happening at the time, actually. I didn't kill any of them because I didn't want to go through that process again. But I ran around that place looking for a shiny Marill, and I eventually did find one with like a minute to spare, so holy shit. So yeah, that was one that I got on purpose, but only because I had time left after the random Vaporeon outbreak. Speaking of water Pokemon, I need more water myself. Oh shit, I'm almost done with this bottle. Anyways, that was a lot. That was a long story to go over, but yeah, that was basically my history of my shiny hunting quests in this game. My urge to get a team of all shiny fire types, because fire is my favorite typing in this series. I got these 5 surprisingly fast, and I was waiting on Delphox because after the long journey I had in Pokemon X to get this one and to go through the journey of Pokemon X with this one, I wanted the Delphox on my team. When I heard Delphox was being brought back in this game, I wanted to bring this shiny in here. So, was waiting on this Delphox and had the other 5 ready, so I decided, hey, let's hunt the other ones. Over a long, arduous process of going through a lot of shiny sandwiches and a lot of resets, I did do a lot of the other ones. Only a few through Masuda breeding. And the rest were done through wild encounters with Sandwich Power active and the Shiny Charm, because I did complete the Pokédex of this game quite early on. It's pretty easy to do. So I've had the Shiny Charm for a while for this journey of shiny hunting. Got all the fire types. In the process of doing so, I also wanted some non-fire types just because I had a lot of fun shiny hunting in this game, and I do like several Pokemon that aren't fire types, like the other evolutions, both forms of Zoroark. So I got these 8 over time on purpose, and I got these 2 through Masuda breeding on purpose. This one, because why not, when I had time left. And then literally everyone else in here is random, which I just find funny. But yeah, that's my journey of these 2 shiny pages. And in terms of what I'm missing or what I'd want, I do like shiny Gardevoir, but I'm not going to bother with that because I already have one in Legends Arceus. So if I really wanted to see a shiny Gardevoir in this game, I'll just transfer over my one from that. So I don't really care about that. I guess I want shiny Lucario. Maybe. I'm still like on the maybe side about that. Just because I've after getting the rest of the evolutions, I'm out of Herba Mystica. I used my last one to get the last EV. So now I'm out, and I don't feel like grinding more right now because grinding 6-star raids is pain and suffering. More on that one day or later probably, don't know, but grinding 6-star raids is pain, so I don't feel like getting more Herba Mystica right now. But in terms of what I want, Gardevoir, maybe. Lucario, maybe. What I do actually want is Rockruff and Lycanroc. I don't know how much I want to do for that, though. If I want to just do Midnight, or if I want to do all 3 forms, if I just want to do Midday and Midnight, or if I want to do all 4, get the 3 forms, and then also Rockruff, because I like Rockruff. I'm thinking about that, just not right now, because I don't have the Herba to do that. And then, obviously, in terms of fire types, Growlithe. Hisuian Growlithe is all I'm missing, that I can do myself right now. Water. So that's about it in terms of the shinies that I have, my long journey to get them, and what I'm currently missing / want. In the future, I know Ninetales is going to be added, But I already have a shiny Ninetales from Legends Arceus. I think I'm just going to transfer that over. Maybe. I do want to use Ninetales as an actual team member, because their hidden ability is Drought, which is very good for an all-fire type team. So I might just shiny hunt a Vulpix again, so that I can EV train it from level 1. Or not, because I don't care that much about competitiveness. So I might just transfer over the one from Legends Arceus. That's an alpha. Was it an alpha? No, it wasn't. Never mind then. So yeah, I'll probably just transfer that one over. And then in terms of other fire types, I don't know or remember what else is going to be added in this game in the future. In terms of fire types, I think through leaks. I don't want to trust leaks that much, but I think some leaks stated like other starting lines coming back, like Gens 3 and 4, and then 7. So if that's the case, then I could next shiny hunt Blaziken and Incineroar, which would be nice. I already have a shiny Infernape from Legends Arceus as well, so if I want that in this game, I'll just transfer that one over. But then, not too sure. I'll just have to wait in the future to see what fire types are added, or what fire types I should shiny hunt, because of this journey, I kind of want to shiny hunt more fire types. I think I've just gone insane at this point with how much shiny hunting I've done, and I just kind of want to not stop that high. So I kind of wanted to like retroactively go into Pokemon Sword and like shiny hunt Litten in that game, because I do have a Litten in that from doing the Alolan Diglett quest. I kind of want to shiny hunt other fire types outside of this game. Maybe I'll make it like on my bucket list to get every shiny fire type in history. I have to say about that. It would be an interesting goal to accomplish, and a lot of it was easy thanks to this game. But yeah, now to go into their nicknames. Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought because I've been talking a lot this past hour or so. Not that I don't mind it. I'm having a lot of fun right now, like going over these stories, and I hope you guys are too. But, I'm kind of stupid, so this is a lot of information I'm presenting, so I'm kind of overloading myself with this information. But anyways, as for the nicknames, for the 3 Charcadets, I decided to go with a Mega Man theme. I thought it'd be funny because when these Pokemon were announced, people were making the very obvious jokes that they look like Mega Man characters. So I thought it'd be funny to name them after as such, fittingly X and Zero, since this one's using swords. And because of the Mega Man series, X is my favorite. So I named them X and Zero, and because I decided to keep him as a small guy, I decided to name him Classic, because, he's going to be a smaller Mega Man. Simp, because that's just what male Salandits are. Flopsy, to reference Avatar, because why not? Skurg. I don't know. Favorite Mega Man game? X4. Easily. Either X4 or maybe 03? X4 though. Like I just love playing as Zero. I might have to stream that one day. I don't have it on Switch yet, but I do want to get the X Legacy collection. I'll have to look into that one day. But yeah, favorite X4 easily. But anyways, Skurg, random friend, just set it on while I was playing Pokemon on call with friends, and that name just kind of stuck, so I decided to name him Skurg. Why did I name them Cherry? Was it to reference the one from Animal Crossing? To be honest here, I don't remember a lot of my nicknames. I nickname everything I catch, and I do mean everything I catch. So all of these have nicknames. A lot of these probably have nicknames. All these folks over here have nicknames. But anyways. Where was I? Cherry. Don't remember why I nicknamed them that, but they have still like a reddish hue to them, so oh well. This one I decided to nickname Crystalline because it's blue when its shiny is blue, and this is oddly specific, and I understand if you don't know this because I know the one viewer I can't confirm right now, my moderator Jack, he hasn't played the Mortal Kombat series, but I nicknamed this Crystalline after a character in that game, Tremor, from Mortal Kombat X. They're a rock type like ninja person, and one of their variations is called Crystalline, where their body is like more crystal-y. So I nicknamed it after that. Already gave the Mega Man references. I honestly don't remember this one. Think it's a lizard character, but don't remember. This one I nicknamed Arceus because Larvesta looks like Arceus. Wish I could still show it as a Larvesta, but it looks like Arceus' face with the golden like spirals coming out of its head, and then just how its face looks. So it looked like Arceus' face, so I nicknamed it Arceus. Lysander because that's what their main looks like. It looks like Lysander from Pokemon X and Y. Flint as a reference to Flint Cole from Ruby, or just like Rooster Teeth in general, because Flint Cole was a popular character in that, but mainly Flint Cole from Ruby. Krakatawa, because, get him angry and he's bound to erupt. It's the eruption Pokemon, so at least I think it's called the eruption Pokemon. Or is that Typhlosion? One's a volcano, one erupts. I named him Krakatawa. Next is Phoenix, which is the same nickname I gave to my Talonflame during my Pokemon X playthrough, because I also had a Talonflame on my team in that. After the arduous months of getting a shiny Fennekin, my first teammate alongside that was a Talonflame. And I don't know, Phoenix is just a fitting nickname. Bird, Firebird. Pretty Firebird. Yeah, that's pretty much all I got for you, Chief. Next is... Why did I nickname it that? Hold on, let me look this up, actually. I don't remember my own nicknames, was it? I think this is Hawaiian for something, but I forgot what. Like, I remember looking up something in Hawaiian, because I wanted this to have a Hawaiian nickname. It's not... No, it's not Arabic. Stop that. No, Google, please. Oh, I'm doing this wrong. Apologies, folks. Please stand by. Let me spell it right first. Fire Dance. That's what it is. That's what it is. Yes, yes, yes. So this word sifa fi, I pronounced that very horribly wrong. It's Hawaiian, and in Hawaiian it roughly translates to fire dance, and I thought that was very fitting. I decided to do Hawaiian because obviously Alola region based on Hawaii, and fire dance because it's a fire type, and this particular Oricorio specializes is in dancing. I think it's called like the ballet style, something along the lines of that. I don't remember the exact name, but basically this Oricorio is about dancing, and it's a fire Pokemon, so fire dance, Hawaiian, yes. Anyways. Next is... Did I nickname the... Did I... Yeah, I went over the other ones. Okay, just making sure. We're approaching the end, so it kind of threw me off. Next is Scoville, who I named players 1 through 4 as a reference to Smash, because it has all the 4 colors. The heads are still the same, but now its body is yellow and blue. So I nicknamed it players 1 through 4 as a reference to Smash. You have red, which is player 1, blue, which is player 2, yellow, which is player 3, and then green, which is player 4. And I didn't give these 2 nicknames yet. I need to do that. I just don't know what I want to nickname them. I've been so caught up in, like, shiny hunting and shit that I didn't give these 2 nicknames. Maybe we can think of those right now. These are very pretty shinies, by the way. I like the red of the normal Typhlosion, and I like that Hisuian's Typhlosion gives it back its green coloring as if it was a normal Typhlosion. But I'll think of names in a bit. I nicknamed this Y because it was a random ass shiny from my Pokemon Sword file. And now for the team members. I named this one Foco Ario as a somewhat JoJo reference to the original name of Part 5, which is Vento Ario. I don't know why I decided to do a JoJo reference for this. Something to do with Arcanine. But I just decided to do that, so I decided to nickname it Golden Fire, as a reference to Golden Wind. Next is Richter, because Houndoom kind of gives me a Castlevania vibe, and since its shiny is blue, when I'm thinking Castlevania and I think blue, and it's also male, I thought Richter, so I decided to nickname it Richter. Next is Flareon, who decided to name Habanero because its shiny gives it like a more mango look. So I was thinking of mango habanero wings from like wing places. So I decided to nickname it Habanero. Shiny Charizard, which I decided to nickname Gene, which is the actual name of the Ender Dragon from Minecraft. And I thought that was neat. So I decided to nickname it after another black dragon. And also because I was running out of dragons to nickname this Charizard after. Because I've used Charizard a lot throughout this series, like when I played Pokemon Fire Red and shit like that. So I used up quite a bit of dragon names. So of course you would come in as soon as I'm talking about Mango Habanero wings. Oh, I need more water. I've been talking so much. But yeah, so running out of dragon names, so I decided to do Gene from Minecraft since it was another black dragon. Hazel because of reasons, and because, well, it's just very fitting for a brown bunny, which they turn Cinderace into when you get it shiny. And then lastly, Royal Rose, because, I don't know, I always nicknamed my Delphox as Rose. It's just a very fitting nickname to me, and it's a reference to a Two Kinds character. So I decided to go with Royal Rose for this one because of all of the purple, which normally represents like royalty and shit. And I thought that was very fitting for like a more like eloquent Pokemon like Delphox. So that's the ones for my team and for all the shinies in this one. If you guys have nickname suggestions for the two Typhlosions, I'm open to those suggestions. Because I'm kind of bad at names. It took me a while to think of a lot of these. So I'm open to suggestions for the two Typhlosions. As for the nicknames for these people here, that, because, again, was random. I honestly... Oh, right. Something about its Pokédex entry. I don't know. Why did I nickname it Dr. Wily? 1 second. Let's look this up. I think it had something to do with Impidip's Pokédex entry in this game. So let me look into that. Let's see here. That's Sword and Shield. Let me go to the Gen 9 decks. Checking Cerebi right now. Alright, here we go. Scarlet. The reason this Pokemon causes trouble for those it feels close to is because Impidip itself gets irritable if it can't absorb negative emotions. Why did I name it Dr. Wily because of that? God, the consequence of me nicknaming everything in all of the Pokemon I catch in all of the games, I just don't remember. This one, I also don't remember. I guess because I noticed it. Fuck if I know. This one I tried to nickname Damn, but Nintendo said, no, 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 that's a bad word. So I named him Dan M. Sugarcoat, because of the meme going on with Azumarill for raids, where I'm not going to sugarcoat it, because Belly Drum Play Rough Azumarill is very meta for raids and for 7-star events, especially for both Charizard and Cinderace. So, not going to sugarcoat it, so I nicknamed him that because of it. Oh, this is Kilowattrel. But I nicknamed it Whattrel because it was a random shiny I found. Next is the two random Gengars. The two random Gastlys. One of which I got into Haunter because I'm going to keep this one. Their nickname, don't remember. Yeah, I actually don't remember. And then this one I nicknamed the Gengar for a funny reason, because originally it had another nickname, but since I'm now making a deal with a friend, I'm going to be giving him this shiny Ghastly. And I decided to, and he wanted me to nickname it Gengar, because, one, you can't get rid of nicknames once they're set. Even if I try to get rid of it to try and just give it back his name of Ghastly, that can't happen. So I'm just going to name it after the last Evo. And also so we can get the funny text of Gengar evolved into Gengar once he gets it into a Haunter and then trades it over with me. Then the two Zoroarks. I'm going to avoid explaining this one, because that's involves something I have in the works. But it is Zoroark related, and this one, Whisper, it's just a very fitting nickname for like a ghost Pokemon like this. A very like wispy vibe to them. Yeah, and then for the Eevees, I think the only one with like a significant nickname is the not Sylveon, what? The Vaporeon, because I have a friend who likes Vaporeon, and I got him a Crochet Vaporeon plush for his birthday, and he decided to name it Izzy. So that's named after that. Everything else is just kind of based on what they are. Normally they're typing or just something fitting for the type of Pokemon they are. Like I like night-based, electric-based, normal-based, leaf-based. This is like Iced Wind-based. It's fairy-based. The only one with a particularly interesting nickname as well is the Espeon, who I decided to name Ify based on their Japanese name. I don't know, I just felt like doing it for that, and just to fuck with a friend who's currently watching this. That's the evolutions, and that's pretty much all the shinies. Sorry, I need more water. I'll be right back. Your boy's gonna need a mean piss after this one, folks. God, my throat hurts. But I am enjoying talking about this a lot. So let's see here. I went over my journey of all the shinies, especially my shiny Delphox. Went over my nicknames for all of them, as well as the journey of like how I got just about every single one. So I think that all that leaves is... Hold up. Alright, I believe all that leaves is my team and why. So I mentioned earlier that I had the team idea of doing all shiny fire types. So why don't we go over that team first? First, Foco Ario, my Arcanine. I had mainly just like a standard like bulky Arcanine build. I think it's Impish Nature is what this is called. Pretty calm by name. Anyway, plus defense minus spec attack because Arcanine is a bulky boy. And I decided to take a bit of advantage of that bulkiness with its moveset. Raging Fury is something I wanted to do for just because it's a good move and good fire type stab. Extreme Speed for good priority. And then the other two moves are dedicated to debuffing them. Snarl, which will debuff their spec attack by one stage, and then Will-O-Wisp, which obviously not only causes a burn, well, it does cause a burn, but the burn effect halves your attack by 50%. So that also helps with the bulk, along with the Intimidate ability, which when it enters the battle, opponents get -1 attack. So that's neat. So it's basically a mix of like a bit of a heady hitter, bulky build, including in terms of its EV spread, which is max HP, good speed, and then evenness and defense and spec defense. So that's what I did for Arcanine. Next is Houndoom, which is kind of meant to mainly just be a sunsetter, because I needed some Pokemon to do that. I wanted to use Pokemon that I like, so I didn't feel like using Torkoal because I don't like him as much as these Pokemon. But I needed someone to set up Sunny Day because that's just very good for an all-fire type team. So he's going to be my Sunny Day setter. I have him holding a oh right, let me go into the held items as well. Along with all of these, like bulkiness and the Raging Fury, he's holding a Person Berry, which cures itself of confusion. And the reason why I do that is because they changed how Raging Fury works in this game. In Legends Arceus, the signature move of Hisui and Arcanine, it was basically Fire-type rollout. It had 85 accuracy, but every time you used it, it got stronger in power. But they changed it in this game, so now instead of Fire-type rollout, it's like Fire-type Outrage, the Dragon-type move. So now it's 120 base power, 100 accuracy, and the user just, once you pick this move, rages on and keeps using that move for 2 or 3 more turns, and then once they're done using that move, whether it's 2 or 3 times, they then get confused, just like Outrage for Dragon types. So the Person Berry is to cure that confusion so that I can use the move again afterwards without worry, or just do other stuff in general afterward without worry. Now next is the Houndoom, who's my Sunny Day setter. Have the Focus Sash so I can guarantee that at least. Destiny Bond, in case I can do some shenanigans. Like if I'm faster than them, I set up Sunny Day. I get almost one shot, proc, Focus Sash, and if they try to go for another attack, I set up Destiny Bond to kill them with me. The main purpose here is just to set up Sunny Day with this Houndoom, but I also have 2 stab moves in the form of Dark Pulse and Flamethrower, just in case I want this Houndoom to then start fucking people up too, if they want to be the one that I use. And I EV built them in Spec Attack and Speed, and gave them a Timid Nature, which is plus Speed minus Attack. Next is Flareon, who I think I fucked up the EV spread on, but it's supposed to be in Speed and Attack. I think I fucked it up though. But anyways, their plan is funny gut stuff. So their hidden ability is Guts, which when they're afflicted with a status condition, they get a 50% boost in attack. And I decided to take advantage of that with its moveset. There's the Flare Blitz for strong stab, even if it does do recoil damage, and then Trail Blaze for fire weakness coverage and to also raise its speed, since not only are the 3 weaknesses of fire type all weak to grass, those being water, rock, and ground, but this also raises your speed by 1 stage every time you use it. So if I want to sweep a Flareon, this is also a neat answer with that to raise my speed alongside that. So Flare Blitz for stab, Trail Blaze for raising my speed and for coverage, and then Protect to guarantee the Toxic Orb, because their held item is a Toxic Orb, so I can guarantee Guts. So I Protect turn 1, get Guts, Trailblaze to raise my speed if I want to, Flare Blitz if I just want to go in and kill them with stab and strong damage, and then Facade, which is the main point of this, because Facade is a special move. Well, not literally a special move, but I mean like special utility. It's a physical move, actually. Water. And the plan there is Facade right here. This move powers is doubled if the user is poisoned, burned, or paralyzed. So when Flareon is poisoned by the Toxic Orb it's holding, this Facade now has a base power of 140. On top of that, the Guts ability procs, so there's also a 50% attack increase stacked on top of that. And to stack that even further, I decided to make Flareon's Terra type normal, so that I could also give it stab, so also times 1.5. on top of the 50% guts boost, on top of the doubled boost from being poisoned. So the plan here is basically Facade Sweeping. Protect turn 1, maybe Trailblaze to increase my speed if I feel like I need it, and then Facade Sweep. Next is Charizard, who has another sweeping build idea, and I decided to be a little interesting with this when I looked into Charizard builds. I decided to go for a physical Charizard build, which normally Charizard is a spec attacker, but I decided to go into a physical build because despite the fact that Charizard is typically a special attacker, all of their buffing moves are physical buffs, like Dragon Dance, which buffs attack and speed. I think Work Up, which buffs attack and special attack. Wait, no, not Work Up. It doesn't have any special attack buffing moves. It's something else. Not Work Up. Bulk Up, that's what it is. It knows Bulk Up, which is plus attack plus physical defense by 1 stage. And then it can also learn Swords Dance, which is plus attack by 2 stages. And then Belly Drum, which maxes out your attack at the cost of half of your HP. And I don't know why this is the case. It feels weird, the fact that a special attacker, all of their buffing items are for physical attack, so I decided to try out a physical attacking build. And the plan here, assuming some form of high damage or something doesn't get in the way, is to substitute and then Belly Drum. So I substitute, use some of my health, get like a little bit of protection from the doll thing, and then Belly Drum to max out my attack. From there, their held item is a Citrus Berry. So I heal up some of the damage from Belly Drum. And then, I start to try and sweep from there. And what helps with that is my choice in the other 2 moves. I have Substitute and Belly Drum to help start the sweep, but then to help continue the sweep are my choice of my 2 stab move, which is Flame Charge and Acrobatics. Flame Charge, because it raises your speed by 1 stage every time you use it. So not only am I taking advantage of my max attack now and having Fire-type stab, but I'm raising my speed every time I use it to further guarantee Charizard sweeping so that I can outspeed anyone. And then Acrobatics, because it has the unique feature of doubling in damage if the person isn't holding an item. And the plan here is that after I substitute, after I Belly Drum, I then use up the Citrus Berry to heal. Once that's used, the Citrus Berry isn't there anymore, so Charizard is no longer holding an item. It's now empty. So now, Acrobatics is double damage on top of all of this. And then, just to give it further, not only does it double in damage, but also Charizard's just naturally a flying type, so there's stab there. And I made its Terra type for flying to give it even more stab. So that's kind of neat. I kind of designed Charizard to be a potential physical sweeper with Belly Drum, Flame Charge, and Acrobatics. Next is Cinderace, who their game plan is Libero shenanigans, even though Libero was nerfed in this gen. More on that in a second. I need more water. Water. Anyways, Cinderace's plan here is basically Libero shenanigans. I EV train them in speed and attack because that's just what you want to do for a Cinderace. That's the 2 stats they specialize in, especially speed, which is why I went for a Jolly Nature in... Oh, right, by the way, Nature is for the Flareon. Adamant, which is attack minus spec attack. And then same for the Charizard. Adamant, which is plus attack minus spec attack. Maybe I'll change this to a plus speed nature. Maybe I'll go for Jolly for this one as well. Just because I really need that speed for the sweeping potential. I'll think about that, though. I'll keep it as Adamant for now, though. Cinderace is Jolly, which is plus speed minus spec attack. EV trained in these 2 things. And then their hidden ability Libero, which is a unique trait. Well, not unique. A few other Pokemon have similar abilities. But basically, every time you... not every time anymore. When you use a move, Cinderace's typing changes to that. And that's what the moves are built on. So if, say, for example, I go for Iron Head. Now Cinderace defensively is considered a Steel type. basically terastallizing before terastallizing was a thing, just without extra stab. But they nerfed it. Back in Gen 8 Sword and Shield, Cinderace could do this all the time. They could keep changing types if they kept using different moves. Now you can see it at the bottom right where it says this only works once each time the Pokemon enters the battle. So when Cinderace enters the battle, I use Iron Head. Now I'm a Steel type, but if I then use like Trailblaze or Power Ball, I'm still a Steel type now. And I have to switch Cinderace out and back in to reset this. Once I switch them out and back in, they're now a Fire type again, and if I use a different move like Trailblaze, now they're a Grass type. So that's kind of what U-turn is to help with if I feel the need to change my type, or if I just feel the need to get Cinderace out of there, I U-turn, taking advantage of Cinderace's high speed to go first. So that's basically the bulk of Cinderace's plan. I just have a Muscle Band, so all of this physical damage from Libero shenanigans also does a little bit of extra damage. Also, Trailblaze to increase speed, because, why not? That's very helpful, and it covers fire weaknesses. And it also turns Cinderace into a Grass type. And then finally is the Shiny Delphox, who I couldn't Eevee build because they were on because it's just from my casual adventure of Pokemon X. But I decided to change their nature to Modest, which is plus special attack minus attack. I changed their ability to the hidden ability Magician. And the game plan with this one is strong spec attacking and then potentially stealing someone's item. So my current held item on them is a White Herb, which is an item held by a Pokemon. It will restore any lowered stat in battle, but only once. So the game plan here is I'm running Overheat on Delphox, which is a strong Fire-type move. You see special move, 130 power. However, when you use this move, it lowers your special attack by 2 stages. But this is what the White Herb helps with. Sorry, I needed water for a second. So what Delphox's game plan is, maybe use Nasty Plot or Hypnosis to disrupt people, and then 2 strong stab moves. I Overheat to just be a strong Fire-type move, and then it lowers my special attack. The White Herb undoes that, and then it's used up, so now Delphox doesn't have a held item. So because of that, next time I hit a target, I steal their held item, and that could potentially just be a little more disruptive. I decided to do Nasty Plot, because this is I decided to do Nasty Plot just in case I could get away with that, and then, do even more damage with Overheat or Psychic if I want to do that instead. I have Psychic as well, just in case I need a strong Psychic move. And then I should explain the Terra types as well. But anyways, Overheat to be a very strong move and then lower my spec attack, trigger the White Herb to restore that so I can use Overheat again without minus spec attack. And then I don't have a held item, so I could steal someone else's to possibly disrupt them. Nasty Plot to further stack if I can get away with it. Psychic if I need strong psychic damage. And then Hypnosis if I want to potentially be disruptive and maybe get that low accuracy chance to put them to sleep, which would help a lot to further setting up Nasty Plot, or maybe safely switching into another sweeper. Like, say, for example, if I go in with Delphox first, I successfully got the Hypnosis, I can maybe switch into Charizard, set up the substitute for extra assurance, and then Belly Drum, so I can start the physical sweep with him. Or maybe do something else, like, I don't really have another sweeping build in mind, aside from Flareon Facade sweeping. So maybe I could also switch into Flareon, and then instead of needing to protect to guarantee it, Trailblaze turn 1, to start stacking speed, so when they wake up, I can Terrastallize and start the Facade Sweep. And speaking of Terrastallizing, to quickly go over the Terra types, Arcanines is just fire for extra Raging Fury damage. Houndoom's is dark, just in case I do need a dark type to fuck someone up. Like if there is a dark, or like if there's a ghost or a psychic type trying to give me some trouble, just in case, I have that extra coverage to fuck them up, so I made their Terra type dark. and to also have a bit of Terra variety on my team. Flareons I made normal for extra facade damage. Charizard I made flying for extra flying damage. For extra flying damage on acrobatics, because this is supposed to be acrobatic sweeping. And then Cinderace I made flying because of Libero shenanigans. And my mindset is that I'm going to switch to Iron Head if I want to be defensive with Cinderace, because Steel is the best type defensively, but one of the counters to that is Ground. So Flying has a defensive purpose of that, where I could Terrasilize into Flying if someone tries to threaten this Steel typing with a Ground type move. And that's a similar plan with Delphox when I get into him in a second. So say I Terrasilize into Flying, they try to threaten with, counters to Flying. I think the only one I don't really have an answer to is Electric. If they try to use a Rock type move for my Flying typing, I could use Trailblaze. If they have an Electric type, I'm just going to U-turn out of there. Maybe, or just try and deal with it. But that's the game plan for Cinderace. The Flying typing is for defensive purposes, along with the Libero shenanigans. And then Delphox is Steel for defensive purposes, just in case I want to go for Nasty Plot or Hypnosis, I could have that defensive backup, and also because Delphox can greatly cover any weakness to Steel, because Steel is weak to 3 types. It has an absolutely god tier, unholy amount of resistances. Like, it resists like half the types in the game. And it only has 3 weaknesses, those 3 being Fire, Fighting, and Ground. Fire, I don't really have a particular answer for, but typically you're not going to throw a Fire type against a Fire type, so I'm kind of banking on that. And I did something similar with another Delphox that works out better, but more on that in a bit. So I'm going to hope or expect you to not throw a Fire type at me. Because if not, then I could just switch to another Fire type and it'll take reduced damage, at least. I don't have Flash Fire on any of them, but reduced damage is something you don't want anyway. So there's the threat of that, so you don't want a Fire type. You don't want a Fighting type, because Delphox is still Psychic. So if you try to throw a Fire type at my Steel type Delphox, I'll just use a Psychic move and kill you. And then Ground types, if Delphox is the one I Terrasilize, then Ground type should be fine too, because if they try to threaten me with a Ground move, there's the threat of me swapping into Charizard, who's part Flying, who will be immune to the Ground move. So yeah, that's basically just about it. Either reduced fire damage, you die if you use a Fighting type, or there's the threat of me swapping into Charizard if you try to use a Ground type. That's the plan with Delphox here. And I'm hoping to use that defensive typing to hopefully set up a Nasty Plot for free, or maybe even get a lucky Hypnosis. Yeah, that's just about the game plan with my first team, which is the Shiny Fire type team. But I said first team, because I have 2. And the second one being the Fire Starters. What the fuck? I accidentally left the menu, and I had no idea. I had a little, I had a little bonfire of Skiddos listening to me commentate this entire time. This is probably my actual Twitch audience. Look at them cheering me on. They're enjoying the story. Shouts to Skiddo. While I'm Masuda breeding in down here, I'm hoping one day one of these randomly spawned Skiddos will be shiny. Maybe I'll just shiny hunt Skiddo one day anyway, just because it supports me during my Masuda breeding hunts. This is funny though. Just like my own little audience. Anyways. Oh, they're confused because I accidentally hit plus again because this isn't Tears of the Kingdom. Ignore the stupidity. Getting off topic. Anyways, so that's my first team, which is all Shiny Fire types, but I wanted to make a second team in this game as well, which is all Fire Starters. Because I figured this is one of the first games where I can technically do that, or at least the first game I'm actively playing where I can do that. I could technically do this in Gen 6, because you obviously you get your Gen 6 starter from the beginning of the game from naturally playing X or Y. You then get the choice of a Cantonian starter from the professor of that game after you beat him in a battle early on, obviously of which I chose Charmander. Let's assume I want to get all the fire starters because that's what I'm going to want to do. And then in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, there's a way to get the other four starters. Obviously, you get the Gen 3 starter from the beginning of the game. Then, once you beat the game for the first time and leave your house and try to leave the route, the professor will be in danger again, and you see a selection of the Gen 2 starters. Then, when you talk to your mom or something, you then get the option of the Gen 4 starters. Water. And then lastly, when you refight the Elite Four one last time and then leave your house again, you then get the option of the Gen 5 starters. So yeah, I could do a team of all 6 fire starters in that game as well. If I transferred over the Delphox and Charizard from X into Alpha Sapphire, and then just the other 4 that I have, the Typhlosion, the Blaziken, the Infernape, and the Emboar, which would be nice because Emboar isn't in this game, and I would like to try them one day. Which I'm going to play Gen 5 one day anyway, so I guess there's also that. But anyways. So aside from Gen 6, this is the only time where I could do a full team of fire starters. Under technicality, I had to do both forms of Typhlosion to make this work, because there's no other fire starters in the game right now. I say right now because, according to leaks, other starters like Blaziken and Incineroar will come back. I'm hoping that is true and is the case. I do like those Pokemon. I do like my fire starters. And I would like a team of all fire starters that isn't technically 2 Typhlosions, just to meet that technical requirement. But I'm rocking with this in the meantime, and this is my all fire starter team because fire starters are some of my favorite Pokemon. Charizard, normal Typhlosion, in order of, I guess, their appearances. Typhlosion's all the way back here because despite just being another form of Typhlosion who's a Gen 2 starter, I'm classifying this Typhlosion as like a post-Gen 8 starter because Legends Arceus came out after Sword and Shield. So I'm just doing it in that order. So it's Charizard from 1, Typhlosion from 2, Delphox from 6, Cinderace from 8, Hisuian Typhlosion from Legends Arceus, which I think is considered Gen 8, pretty sure, yes. And then Skeleturge, which is Gen 9. So I have these 6 fire starters, and my game plan with them is a bit different than my game plans with the shiny fire type team. Charizard, it's embracing what it's supposed to in being a special attacker. I gave it back its hidden ability, Solar Power, in Harsh Sunlight. Spec attack is boosted, but HP decreases every turn, along with a Life Orb for further recoil but further attack boosting. Give it a Timid Nature, which is plus speed minus attack, because speed means a lot. EV Train in speed and special attack. It's just meant to be a strong special attacker. Set up Sunlight with someone else, and then switch to Charizard just for strong damage. No really stacking or anything, just strong damage. Blast Burn and Air Slash for stab. Solar Beam for coverage, because I'm going to be in Sunlight. And then Dragon Pulse, because why not? You never know. Dragon types are pretty popular in this game, like Hydreigon, Garchomp. Someone else, I don't remember who exactly, but Dragon types are pretty popular in this game, so why not? But yeah, just be a strong special attacker. And while I'm on the topic of their moves, another theme I'm doing for this particular team that I'm not doing for the other team, or that I couldn't do for the all shiny team, is signature moves. I forgot when exactly signature moves were introduced. I think Gen 3, because the Gen 3 starters have signature moves. But like, it's kind of a rocky topic talking about signature moves around that time. Because I heard Charizard's supposed to be Blast Burn, but then I hear it's supposed to be like Flamethrower because it's iconic or some shit like that. From what I've seen, it's Blast Burn. Typhlosion doesn't have one, but the closest is Eruption because it's the Volcano Pokemon. But then every Pokemon afterwards does have a definitive signature move. The Delphox is being Mystical Fire, Cinderace is being Powerball, Hisuian Typhlosion's being Infernal Parade, and then Skeleturge is being Torch Song. So another theme of this particular team is all of them having their signature moves. Charizard's being Blast Burn, so that's a move on this move list, and also just a strong special attack fire move. Next is Typhlosion, who is a Choice Scarf sweeper. Try to get some extra speed from Choice Scarf, and then either run with Eruption, Overheat, or Solar Beam or Shadow Ball, just whatever. You need to switch out and switch back in to change what move you want to be choice sweeping with. But I decided to go with this one because this seems to be a popular thing to do with Typhlosion. Right, that's why. You have Eruption on standby in case, or you have Overheat on standby in case you can't sweep with Eruption because your HP is too low. And you don't mind the spec attack drops for once or twice. Solar Beam for more fire coverage. And Shadow Ball just cuz. But mainly the main purpose of this is choice sweeping with Eruption. Specializes in attack and special attack. And yeah, next is Delphox, who's meant to be a bit more supportive and disruptive, aside from Mystical Fire, which I just want to keep there, because in of itself is a bit of a disruptive move, because now it guarantees a special attack drop against the opponent. If I use it on someone, it lowers their special attack by 1 stage. So there's that, and then its other 3 moves are disruptive purposes. Wish to either heal Delphox and keep them on the field, or maybe to heal another ally Pokemon if it's a doubles battle. Protect to guarantee this and to guarantee some leftovers healing, because I made this Delphox a bit bulkier. With EVs and HP, spend speed, then a little bit of special attack, and then a timid nature, because speed is important. So wish to heal myself or others, protect to guarantee, and get a little more leftovers healing, and then Hypnosis in hopes I get lucky, and disrupt them even further. Next is Cinderace, who's a Choice Band sweeper. Same EV build, speed and attack, Jolly Nature, which is plus speed minus spec attack, and then its moves for choice options are Power Ball, High Jump Kick, Headbutt, Zen Headbutt. And the plan behind here is, in case I change my type, so let's say I Terrastallize into normal type, which is what this Terra type is, and someone tries to counter me with a fighting type. That's what the Zen Headbutt's going to be used to help with. Or I just try to sweep with any of these other options of moves, like giving more stab to Headbutt and try to choice sweep while also potentially getting flinch chances, because Cinderace is fast. High Jump Kick for strong fighting move, and then Power Ball for strong fire move, because fire and fighting are good offensive moves. Zen Headbutts for the coverage in case I'm a normal type, and then Terra Normal and Headbutt just for neutral damage and potential flinching. This can also make them flinch. Next is Hisuian Typhlosion, which is also a kind of disruptive, supportive build. It's, well, mainly supportive in the sense that this is my Sunny Day setter, because I don't have someone who can do that automatically, and I want that for an all-fire type team. So I have them to set up Sunny Day, hopefully survive that. And they're holding a Heat Rock to further help with that, to make it last longer, because Heat Rock makes it so Sunny Day lasts for 8 turns instead of 5. And then their other moves are just for strong offensive purposes. Will-O-Wisp is to guarantee a burn so that Infernal Parade can do double damage, because this move's power, it's like Hex where it doubles in power if they're inflicted with a status condition. And while this move can set it up itself, this move has a chance to burn. I would rather also just have the option to guarantee that. Even though this and Flamethrower have a chance to burn, this is just a very burny Pokemon. But in case I really do want you to get burned to guarantee the double damage of Infernal Parade, I just have Will-O-Wisp here. and then Flamethrower for strong fire damage, and then Infernal Parade. With Terra Ghost for extra Infernal Parade damage. In terms of the other Terra types, let me go back real quick. Normal type for either covering it with Zen Headbutt or extra Headbutt Stab. Steel for defensive purposes. And because this one can counter it much better. Well, it can't counter it much better. Now I can't counter fighting types. Well, I mean, I can counter fighting types, just not with Delphox. But I can still basically cover all of the weaknesses to Steel. If you try to come at with a fire type, you run the threat of me switching into Typhlosion, who has Flash Fire. And that's going to be even worse for you. Because my plan is to Eruption Sweep with this. So you don't want to buff my fire damage, so you want to avoid fire. You want to avoid fighting, because there could be the threat of me switching into Cinderace with Zen Headbutt, switching into Typhlosion or Skeledirge, who will be immune to it because they're part Ghost typing, or switching to Charizard, who can hit you for super effective. So I have 2 Pokemon who can hit fighting super effective, and then 2 straight up immune to it. So you don't want to come at Delphox with a fighting move either, because you run the threat of like half the team. And then ground, same case, you run the threat of Charizard, who would be immune to it. Other Terra types, Charizard's is just fire for extra Blast Burn Stab. Typhlosion's fire for extra Eruption Stab. And then Skeledirge's is fire for extra Torch Song Stab. Are they? Next up, speaking of Skeledirge, next up is them. Their game plan is either Choice Song sweeping, or there's also the option of potentially being bulky, because Skeledirge's thing is that they aren't fast. Also, Scuffed Eevee Spread, because this is the one I had on my journey. But Skeledirge's goal is to be a bit bulky, but also slower as a result. So that's what I have Sing and Slack Off for, to keep that up. I Sing to hopefully put you to sleep. It's very low accuracy, but if I do hit it, that puts you to sleep. And then Slack Off to heal the damage. And then with that bulkiness in mind, I then also hopefully Torch Song Sweep. And the plan here is, along with Torch Song Sweeping, because Torch Song is a really good signature move that base 80 power, but every time I use it, it buffs my special attack by 1 stage. So while I keep spamming it, it's also buffing my spec attack to do more damage while I'm spamming it. And then the held item being, sorry, my brain is being overloaded right now, and I'm the one presenting you the information. And then it's Blunder Policy for my held item. Because Sing has such low accuracy, I decided to take advantage of that. And when Sing inevitably misses, I get sharply boosted in speed to hopefully help with Skeledirge's slow speed, and to then help with the Torch Song sweeping. And then Shadow Ball for extra stab coverage, just in case, why not? And that's kind of the game plan here with all of these. I went into a long time for that. Wow. And then there's all my other boxes and shit. And there's my PLA stuff. This is my raid stuff. The Eevee stuff from the event where there was a bunch of Eevee Terra types spawning, and I got all 18 types for each one. I want to nickname all of them into what their evolution name would be for that type, but I need to do that in the future. Then there's my and then there's just regular fire type box along with my all starter team, and then all my shinies with my all fire shiny team, and then normal shinies. Now then, I will be right back. I need to desperately use the bathroom because all this talking made my throat dry, which made me need to drink water, and now I need to let that out. So let me have a moment, please. God damn, that was a mean piss. And my Switch is almost in sleep mode. I can't even say this was like something that I reap what I sow or some shit, because, like, I guess it is my own fault for talking a lot this stream, but, like, the mean pissing was an unfortunate side effect to the premise of this stream, because I've been talking so much that my throat gets dry, so I want to drink water to help aid with that. Speaking of which, mm, but because I drank so much water, I'm almost done with my second bottle now. I had to piss so badly, it just didn't end. Anyways, I think that's just about it for everything. I went into my encyclopedia of shiny hunting in this game, how I wanted to go about getting an all shiny fire type team, because I'm biased for fire types. But then that went by fast, so I decided to get all the shiny types in this game, period. And now I have the bucket list goal of getting every shiny fire type in existence, well, at least for fully evolved ones. I'm not going to make a living dex out of that shit. Oh, dear God, no. Some extra shinies that aren't fire type that I decided to get because I like them, like the evolutions and Zoroarks, or they were just completely random. And then I went into my tuned team ideas, the fire starter team, and then the shiny fire type team. What each member has in terms of like EV builds, Terra types, moves, and whatnot, and held items, and what the general game plan for each one is for both teams. I think this is a very fun time. Is my Skittle audience still here? Oh, they still are, and they're cheering me on. I love this. Are they going to chase me? They're not hostile, but they do, like, look at them. They're a little bit slow. That's okay, though. So am I, so maybe it's fitting that this is my audience. There you are. But anyways, I originally had the plan of battling with this team, but I went into talking so much, and my streams are generally around 2.5 to 3 hours, that I either don't have the time now to do that battling, or if I did, there would be so little time dedicated to it that I kind of don't want to shelve it aside for that. The title of the stream my was about showing off my shinies, and then also battling with my teams in mind, but because the talking took so long, I don't want to shove aside the battling portion of using these teams, because I spent a lot of time on these teams. If going into depth into each member's purpose, their items, even their EV spreads. I'm not much of a competitive player, but I learned how to EV spread in this game, mainly because of raids, but I wanted to do it for team members as well. Water. So I learned all of that, and I dove into all of that for this. So because of that, and because, like, I want to show these Pokemon off more, I don't want to, like, do a half-hearted amount of battling. So I think I'm going to save that for next week. Originally, for next week, I had something else in mind involving Pokemon Unite, finally streaming that game, but that can wait, honestly. So I think next stream, I'll dedicate to battling with these two teams. And just, like, generally talking with you guys and stuff. Probably about, like, other Pokemon-related topics, like my lack of competitive urges for this game, or just like what Pokemon I like and why I have such a bias for fire types, why I have a bias for a particular Pokemon like Delphox or Cinderace or Flareon, and just generally try to have fun with it. I'm not going to try to be serious about it and like try to win. I'm gonna try to win, but like I'm not going to care if I do or don't, because like I don't care about playing this game competitively for battling's sake. Battling was never, as much as I like building teams and as much as I enjoyed collecting these Pokemon and building these teams, battling isn't my thing for Pokemon. My thing for Pokemon is collecting the cool or cute looking monsters that I like, seeing how I could build them, how I could use them and just having them. No Pokemon Scarlet, and not really. I mean, maybe for like bias or meming type teams, like an all evolution team or an all like fire something team. Maybe I could do a more proper all fire starter team in that. Maybe I could dive into what kind of team would I do if the game didn't limit me on what fire starters I could have on my team. Maybe I could do that, but like I'll do it for those reasons, but I'm not going to do it for like battling reasons. I don't really care about battling a Pokemon actually. I just want to overlevel my Pokemon, enjoy a casual adventure of sweeping 8-year-olds with a level 30 something Cinderace in Route 1, collecting and bonding with the cute monsters, and yeah, just enjoying it like casually, stuff like that. Which is why I still suck at this game too. So when next stream when I do dedicate to battling, I'm not really going to care if I win or lose or not, even though I did dive a lot of thought into these team builds, which honestly that's more fun for me than actually using them in battle, to be honest. It's like just cooking up ideas for these and looking into what makes them good, how other people use them, shit like that. And it's kind of fun to think about ideas like this, like the white herb idea I had for Delphox, or like the physical sweeping idea with Charizard, or using normal Terra type to give extra stab to Facade, stuff like that. It's fun to think about stuff like that, so I do understand the competitive appeal of Pokemon. I just don't really do that because the appeal to me is more casually, since I'm more appealed to the Pokemon themselves rather than the battling mechanics used with them, if that makes sense. So I'm not really going to care about battling, but I'm still going to do battling because I want to show off these Pokemon more. And then I'll do the Pokemon Unite stuff the week after that. I was going to save it for next week, but oh well. I don't want to waste... I don't want to shove aside the battling aspect of these teams. Because I like my fire starters, and I like my fire shinies. Alright, I never answered that question earlier. When Jack asked if I'm a big fan of shinies, I kind of like gave it a very short answer and shoved it aside for now because I was already talking so much about like my history of shiny hunting, and I kind of wanted to finish that up first. I want to say yes, I am a big fan of shinies. I don't want to give it a mixed... I was going to give it a mixed answer, but like, look at these 2 boxes of shinies. And I was just talking earlier about how I want to even like go like retroactively like shiny hunt like a Litten in sorts, have a shiny Incineroar and shit like that. And then there's all the shinies I have in Legends Arceus, like the Lopunny, the Gardevoir, the Infernape, the Pikachu, the random Staravia I have, the 4 shiny Shinxes that I got. 1 that's a Luxio now, 1 that's a Luxray now, and 2 that are still Shinxes. I for some reason have 4 shiny Shinxes, Jesus Christ. The random shiny Wurmple. So there's all those in Legends Arceus as well. And then there's all the ones I went out of my way to get in this game, which you can see the product of my work here. And I'm going to stay on the screen because I'm kind of proud of it. But yeah, I was diving into my lore first, or my shiny hunting history with this particular game. But yeah, I would say I'm a big fan of shinies. And the appeal of shinies to me, it connects to my appeal of Pokemon I talked about earlier. Again, my biggest appeal of Pokemon is the Pokemon themselves, just bonding and collecting them. Not really, like, getting into competitive battling or stuff like that. So because my appeal is Pokemon, and I really like the Pokemon, it just feels natural that, of course, I'm going to really like a different colored version of them that's super rare. Especially when the shinies look really good. Like Delphox is one of, if not my favorite shiny, period. Charizard's is really good. 1 second. Yeah, I love the black. I like Cinderace's shiny. I like Houndoom's blue. And then going up here a bit, you know, I like these ones as well. I like the color swap of Oricorio. The black looks really nice. Let's see. I like the gold of Volcarona. I like the white of Salazzle. I really like this shiny, actually. The pink is kind of neat. And then I really like some of the shinies of some of the evolutions, like Vaporeon and Sylveon and Umbreon and Eevee themselves, and then the two Zoroarks. I'm a fan of shiny Pokemon because I like Pokemon. So when you give me a Pokemon I like, and then you also give me a very, very rare, different colored version of it, of course I'm going to like that. And to me, that's the appeal of shiny hunting to me, is after that arduous task of hunting it however you choose to do that, whether that be Masuda breeding, sandwiches, catching, what's it called in other games, when like in BDSP, when you use like the tracker to like keep track of your catches and you get like a catching streak to higher your shiny chances, something like that as well, whether you're doing it that way or maybe you're just like me and like raw dog it because you want it to be your starter like I did for this Delphox. For me, I do have a lot of fun shiny hunting because, yeah, sure, the task is boring, but like it's also relaxing in a sense. Like I could just sit back and watch a YouTube video while something else is going on, so that's kind of neat, and it's a nice relaxing activity, especially late at night. Just have something on the laptop playing while I'm doing this. And if I do manage to get the shiny, then that's a big euphoria rush. And that's why I enjoy shiny hunting. The relaxation of it, the joy of having a rare version of a Pokemon I already really like, and just the satisfaction and high I get out of eventually getting a shiny out of it. So yeah, I am a big fan of shiny hunting. And I think I'm honestly going to keep on doing it. Once this stream is done, I'm going to actually go right to trying to get that Hisuian Growlithe like I mentioned before. I might go back into Pokemon Sword because I want a shiny Incineroar. And I don't know what else I do. Should probably try to see what other shiny I can get in Sword that I can't get in this game, because it's easy. Because I. Sorry about that. What was I talking about? Right. Go back to Pokemon Sword. Maybe go into BDSP, but I don't want to shiny hunt in that. I tried to one time and it didn't go well. I can still do Legends Arceus. But what would I shiny hunt in that I haven't gotten already? I already got the Infernape. I already got the Ninetales. I'll think about it. But I do want to like keep on doing it just because I actually do have a lot of fun shiny hunting in both like Legends Arceus and this game, and even oh yeah, you weren't here for that. I guess I'm kind of making it a bucket list thing to get all of the shiny fire types in existence. Fully evolved forms only, basically. Like, I'm not going to go for like a living dex where I need like 3 Charmanders to have each evolution. No, I'm not doing that. I'm just going to settle for a shiny Charizard. But I do want to go for, I guess one day, all the shiny fire types in existence, including legendaries. Don't know how I'm going to do that, but I'll figure it out. And yeah, that's basically about it. I have that end goal in mind. I did a lot of progress on that thanks to this game. And I have a lot of fun doing it because, again, it's a relaxing activity, and I really like these Pokemon, and I like collecting these Pokemon, so the joy of getting rare versions of them is super appealing to me. And that's always why I like to do shiny hunting, and why I don't like just, I don't know, buy a shiny off eBay or something, because people do sell shinies and shit, even ones with like perfect EVs and stuff, but I don't do that. Another appeal of this is the fact that I worked for this. The fact that this is my shiny Cinderace. This is my shiny Delphox from my playthrough of X. This was my starter. This was my shiny Charizard, my Flareon, all that stuff. The fact that I went out of my way to hunt those. Obviously, some exceptions have to be made because I can't do everything, like the shiny Iron Moth, which is Violet exclusive. So stuff like that kind of needs to be accepted. But for the most part, the true appeal of shiny hunting to me is also doing it myself and sort of feeling rewarded with these rare versions of the Pokemon I like being my own. But yeah, that's basically about it. That's basically my history and appeal of shiny hunting, my goal of trying to get every fire type in existence. So I'm going to have some fun with that. going over all my shinies and my two teams and my history behind doing the process of doing that. And next week, I'm going to battle with these two teams. I have them as battle teams. My fire starters here, and then my fire shinies here. One last look at my Skiddo audience. And that's going to be it for this stream. This was a very talkative stream, if my throat hurting is anything to go by. I wasn't ready for that, even though I was expecting this to be the case. I knew I wanted to spend a good chunk of this stream talking about and showing off my shinies. I just wasn't ready for how much I would dive into it. And how much it would hurt my throat as a result of this much talking. But I actually really liked this, even though I basically did nothing in this stream but sit in a menu and sit in an area. I kind of like that, because it was just a stream that I just spent talking. And just like, even though that's kind of like boring gameplay-wise, it's kind of nice to do that with having so much to talk about. And without doing anything else, I could just focus on just the talking and kind of just like take you guys on a journey. But that's going to be it for all the talking. Next time is going to be the battling, where I battle with these two teams and see how my building has gone and where it takes me. I'm going to get right to... let me put them in the inventory already. I'm going to get right to getting this Hisui and Growlithe. This is the next part in getting my collection together. But anyways, next time is going to be the battling portion of using these two teams. And as a technical way of showing them off more, because I'm just very proud of these. But in the meantime, thanks for watching.